Such a powerful question. How do you get ahead in the organization?
Yeah, it reveals a lot, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it reveals the underside, the dark side of organizations because, you have all the values on the wall and you have the performance metrics, etc. But that means nothing compared to how you actually get ahead. Often it's because you made good sales or you know the right people. And it's kind of interesting when you work that out.
Interesting. If we were to now move into, or maybe even before we move, is there another story that comes to mind of your days at IBM, of your days of when you initially started to become this storyteller to the world? Because I'm going to now remember the car story forever. So maybe there are a couple of more I can get out from you that'll be worth remembering.
Yeah, sure. Well, the one that just pops to mind, it was one of those situations of how to navigate a large organisation, so with a big hierarchy, etc. And I remember, I was a middle-level sort of manager, leader in the organisation, lots of vice presidents above me, right? And I had a situation with a customer where the customer wanted to do something which I thought was fair, fair and reasonable, but my boss didn't want them to do it, right? And I had this real tension, like, do I do what my boss wants me to do or do I do what my customer wants me to do? So I found myself, just by accident, I went to a presentation, there was a whole bunch of IBMers there, and I was standing next to a vice president, a very senior person, and I turned to him and I sort of said, this is my dilemma. And he said, Shawn, I tell you what, you just do what your customer wants. You will get wrapped over the knuckles for it, but as that goes up the chain, you'll discover all those people who've gone up the hierarchy did exactly what you did, and you'll be fine. And I did that, and it more or less worked exactly how he predicted. And it was a great insight into the culture underlying in that organisation, because it comes down, one of the questions I always love to ask in a company is, how do you get ahead around here? Right? Do you get ahead by helping the customer, in which case that was the case, or what else? And this is an indicator of culture, right? So,
Such a powerful question. How do you get ahead in the organization?
Yeah, it reveals a lot, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it reveals the underside, the dark side of organisations, because, you have all the values on the wall and you have the performance metrics, etc. But that means nothing compared to how you actually get ahead. Often it's because you made good sales or you know the right people, and it's kind of interesting when you work that out.
Interesting. It's a beautiful question to kind of ponder upon. How do you get ahead in the organization, and so many elements can emerge out of that. But now as we go through this idea of stories, and we've spoken on both sides, between the story and the storyteller, who's more important, Shawn?
Well, they're sort of symbiotic, aren't they? One can't go without the other. In fact, there's a third element, and that is the audience. And especially when you're oral storytelling, because you're getting this immediate feedback from your audience. So the storyteller gets to choose the story, gets to decide, do they tell the long version or the short version? Do they emphasise this versus emphasise that? There's a whole bunch of sort of implicit decisions that the storyteller is making. But some of those are influenced by what's happening on the spot, the response they're getting from the audience, right? So I know I've been in situations where sometimes you're sharing a story and you're getting all this encouragement, right? And they want to know more, and they'll even ask you questions in the middle of the story. But how did that happen? Or what happens next? And you've got this expansive opportunity. It's where you can tell the longer story. But the opposite end of the spectrum is when I stupidly told a story once about mulesing which is what farmers do with their sheep. They have to more or less, with the back of the sheep, sort of cut the backs of these sheep off. It's quite a dramatic sort of activity. And I was telling, because I'd seen this story on Dirty Jobs, I think it was, and I thought, it was something to do with the lesson they were learning.
Thank you for watching this clip. If this was of value, then you would love this full podcast episode with the guest that you just saw. I'm just putting this link somewhere left or right of me that you should just click on and watch the full episode. We talk about deep ideas, insights about life, leadership, you as an individual, and you as a professional in this beautiful yet so chaotic world of ours.